Good morning. Welcome back to the 2024 SHI End User Computing Summit. My name is Matt Fisher. I'm a Vice President here at SHI. It's fantastic to welcome you to this event brought to you in association with our executive sponsor, Microsoft, and of course our other valued partners as well. I hope that everybody that was able to join us last night at SHI Stadium got to meet as many of our sponsoring partners as possible, as well as enjoying that fabulous band, the Benjamins. I have to admit, I was a little bit sort of gratified to have to explain to the young kids what the music was that they were listening to for a change. Perhaps last night was proof that in a world of increasing AI use, there are still some things that are best done the old-fashioned way. Now, it's great to see so many of you with us in the room this morning for what promises to be a really interesting day of learning, sharing, and networking. Now, I usually ask for a show of hands for who's joining us at an SHI Summit for the first time. But before you raise your hands, what I'd like you to do is grab your cell phone and take a snap of that QR code that's in front of you on the table. I promise you, it is not a cybersecurity honey trap. What it is actually an interactive polling application called Slido that we're going to be using for various presentations throughout the day. And it's going to make our discussions a little bit more dynamic. It's also going to help our panelists and presenters know a little bit more about you in the room so that we can tailor the content to you. I know it's early. I know I'm asking a lot with audience participation, so we're making this first question as easy as possible. It very simply is this your first time at an SHI Summit? And you can simply choose yes or no. If the answer is unsure, you probably had a little bit too much fun last night. All right, let's see where we stand. Wonders of technology means this keeps building as you keep answering, which means I have to keep up with it. But I think we're about steady at 53% of you joining us for the first time. So welcome, fantastic to have you with us, and welcome back to our frequent flyers as well. We hope you also have a fantastic event with us today. So look, our theme for today is actually more of an invitation. Experience the AI-powered modern workplace. Together with our sponsor partners, we're going to show you how forward-thinking vendors and customer organizations are already starting to use AI to transform how they deliver end-user computing, collaboration, and device management in the modern workplace. Now, I guess that begs the question, what is the modern workplace, with or without AI, and what does it mean for everybody in the room? Well, look, as a Gen Xer, I know, I look far too young to be this old, but one of my favorite pastimes is disparaging millennials and Gen Zs. But being serious for a moment, we have to accept that, as he clicks forward when he shouldn't have clicked forward, it's worth acknowledging that 71% of millennials said that the COVID pandemic changed the way that they think about the place that work has in their life. As I am constantly reminded by the HR courses I am forced to attend, and every time I stumble across Simon Sinek on YouTube, the next generation that is entering the workforce thinks differently, acts differently, behaves differently. One of the big fads at the moment is that many of the younger part of our workforce would like to adopt what seems to be widely referred to as the 4-day Swedish working week. Well, I worked for a Swedish company for 5 years, and believe me, we work a lot more than 4 days a week. So even within Sweden, that's not a commonly acknowledged model. Others, and we had this conversation over breakfast with the people that I was on the table with, are less happy with return to office. And you can kind of understand why, especially when gas prices, insurance prices, transportation costs are all going up. Only then to kind of sit in an isolated cubicle hunched over an aging laptop and fighting systems that may not be fit for purpose compared to the business models that we're being asked to support today. kind of feels like the opposite to the modern workplace. So with all those things conspiring against us, what can we do in this room to help drive happy and productive end users? Well, spoiler alert, the answer lies in part at least, in the use of strategic AI tools. Indeed, Gartner predicts that by 2025, AI will play a role in up to 70% of text and data-heavy tasks. We can also give users more choice in the devices and even the operating systems that they use, thanks to the latest generation of device management platforms. And nowadays, we can do it without adding significant additional complexities and overheads on the IT teams that are tasked to support them. According to research by Jamf, nearly 9 out of 10 employees say that choosing their work device was of importance to them. And 70% say that they would be more likely to join an organization that gave them a technology choice. So perhaps it's not surprising then that just over half of organizations today now support BYOD and/or CYOD schemes for employees. We can also provide technologies that make communicating and collaborating, whether that's with people in the same room or across the world, easier and more inclusive. Now, collectively, that's not just a productivity boost for the organization, it's a strategy to attract, develop, and retain talent. So in a way, we're kind of closely connected with talent acquisition and HR as well through our end user computing practices and policies. It feels like I'm talking about a lot of buzzwords, but I would argue that you'll learn, if you haven't already through today, that they aren't buzzwords. They are the pillar of the end user computing approach that you're going to need for that modern workplace. Of course, we can't ignore the impending end of support for Windows 10, which is now just 16 months away. I know that sounds like a long time, but as any of you that have been involved in managing a previous Windows upgrade, you'll know that time flies when you're migrating. A study conducted recently by SHI found that 72% of organizations were planning to upgrade to Windows 11 with less than a year to go before the end of support for Windows 10. Now, that might work if you're managing hundreds of devices or perhaps a low number of thousands of devices. But as you get into the tens and maybe even hundreds of thousands of devices, that's an incredibly risky strategy. I do want to just quickly point out something that just went live on the interweb within the last couple of days, and that's actually Microsoft's own case study of SHI's migration to Windows 11. In fact, we've now been recognized as having one of the fastest Windows 11 migrations on record. We put nearly 6,000 users onto Windows 11 in 3 months. Now, we don't like to brag, but I'm here on stage, so I'm going to. We like to argue that if you need to work with a partner to effect a smooth transition to Windows 11, you really couldn't go wrong with SHI, and learning from our experiences of doing that extremely quickly. There is a but, and I kind of feel like I need to apologize to Microsoft at this point, but it's not all about Windows. Thanks to advances in those device management platforms that I talked about earlier, it's easier than ever to support a variety of device types and operating systems. So if you grab your phones and get that Slido app open again, we're going to do another very quick poll. Now, this one's really important because it's actually going to help our presenters and panelists know a little bit about who's in the room and what platforms you're currently using. So, using that Slido app on the phone, please simply let us know what operating systems you are currently supporting for end-user computing, specifically on the desktop. I give you a few moments to make your selections. You can choose as many as are applicable to your organization. As I click forward, hopefully we will see the picture beginning to build. I'm wondering if you're as interested as I am in the 4% of organizations in the room that are not using Windows. But we can see like there's a very clear trend here, isn't there? Almost all organizations, at least 79% of you, or if I take away the 3 from Windows, at least 76% of you are supporting multiple operating systems, multiple device types. So there's going to be quite a lot of information that we can share today about how you can optimize that for your organization and how some of the newer device management platform capabilities really play into that capability. Perhaps we'll even encourage you to look at additional operating systems as well. Of course, look, one of the hottest topics in end-user computing in 2024 isn't just AI in general, but AI at your fingertips with the emergence of NPUs and AI-ready PCs. Should have squeezed more acronyms into today's presentation. It feels like we're entering a new arms race with the silicon manufacturers each taking turns to announce more powerful neural processing units. Look, as the idiot in the room, I'll be honest, I have no idea if your average user is going to notice the difference in performance between 40 trillions of operations per second and 50 trillions of operations per second. The figures are kind of mind-boggling to a layman like myself. But it's worth acknowledging that Microsoft obviously has announced that Copilot Plus PC has a baseline of 40 trillions of operations per second. So I think it's fair to say that these numbers are only going to get bigger, and they're going to do so very quickly. Returning to our friends at Gartner, they forecast that shipments of AI PC and generative AI smartphones will total 295 million units by the end of this year. That's a 10-fold increase over what we saw in 2023. Now, that's what Gartner says, but what about everybody in the room? Back to Slido. Where do you stand when it comes to providing AI-ready PCs to end users? Which of the following statements most closely reflects your plans? Are you actively looking to adopt AI PCs as part of a device refresh in the next 12 months? Are you adopting those kinds of devices, but only for specific roles or users? Not considering in the next 12 months, or still in a kind of evaluation phase? Okay, so again, I love how these dynamic charts build, but we see that there's a lot of people in the room in the evaluation phase. Great, there's going to be a lot of information for you guys. Some people definitely not doing that. I guess maybe you've gone through a device refresh more recently and your cycle doesn't really support that. But obviously, still a relatively significant number of people, nearly 40%, are either adopting in a limited fashion or more widely. Now, look, if you're looking to try these AI-enabled devices, we're currently actually building a test lab downstairs in our Customer Innovation Center that will be ready by the end of the summer. So if you really want to get some hands-on time and see what different devices and different chipsets perform like, speak to your SHI rep and we can get you some time in that facility once it's ready to be used. And of course, when it comes to AI technologies, we're increasingly spoiled for choice, whether it's publicly available cloud-based LLMs like ChatGPT or the kind of the more private platforms like OpenAI on Azure, or of course the new emerging desktop native solutions. Again, I know you've only just put your phones down, but I'm going to ask you to pick them back up. Let's learn a little bit about what AI models and AI apps are being used by the organizations in the room. And ideally, we're looking at models that you've kind of made available to a wider part of your end user base, not just a few technicians in a lab somewhere. We have pre-populated a list with what we think are the most common models, but feel free to add others if there are particular applications or platforms that you're using. Okay, well, our Microsoft people in the room are going to be extremely happy. We've had a lot of chatter over breakfast about Copilot, and I know that some rumblings over the cost per user per month, but still, it seems to be widely acknowledged as a really interesting and valuable tool. It seems like a lot of you guys are already on top of using it for generative AI purposes. So again, a lot of adoption for Copilot, ChatGPT, obviously up there as well. Grammarly, we use Grammarly ourselves. Our teams find it really useful as well. If I actually use SHI as a case study for a moment, we actually also use an AI platform. We call it MindSpark. It is basically an SHI-only version of OpenAI hosted on Azure. The clever boffins in our ASG group built an SHI interface onto it, which is pre-populated with prompts and queries that our sales, marketing, and technical teams use to accelerate some of their most common content creation tasks. Soon it's going to be connected in with our customer data and market research, and that will, we hope, really drive its value to both us and you as customers as we use more intelligence to provide you with insight and more customized offerings that are relevant to your business and where you are in terms of maturity. MindSpark isn't just a cool experiment. 42% of SHI staff now self-report as using MindSpark on at least a monthly basis, which is significantly ahead of the industry average at 31%. So here at SHI, we're really embracing the the benefits of an organization-specific AI model. But what about you? Are you already actively developing AI technologies specific to your organization and your needs? Simple answers: yes, you're already live and already running something. Yes, you have it in development. You're evaluating options, or you're not yet considering how you might deploy your own AI. Well, I say your own AI models. It's better to say a tailored AI model or a customized AI model. Okay, so nearly half of you in the room are evaluating. We've got about a quarter in development, just under a quarter already live, and only a small number not considering. So for those of you evaluating, hopefully a lot of really great information today. For those of you right down in that bottom bracket not yet considering, maybe you'll go away from today with a slightly different opinion. All right, so look, thank you for participating in those polls. You will be relieved to hear that's the end of the audience participation for my session at least. Of course, today isn't just about AI. We still need to choose and procure laptops. We still need to manage devices. We still need to give end users the tools that they need to be productive. So there'll be plenty of content on all of that today. Speaking of which, hopefully you should have by now created your own personal agenda for today, and that's now available to you in the event app, and that will help you navigate to the correct room for the correct sessions that you've elected to be part of. If you haven't downloaded that app, just see one of our event staff and they will happily walk you through that process and ensure that you get to the sessions that are most beneficial to you. You can also use the event app to access a library of additional information regarding the topics that our experts are going to be speaking about. And I want to give a quick shout out to the SHI Resource Hub, which is available to you online and contains more than 400 articles, videos, ebooks, data sheets, everything that you could want to know around SHI and the solution areas that we support. So I'm going to be handing over momentarily to Kapil Bansal to provide a bit more of an update on EU as it stands specific to SHI and our customers. But as I wrap up this short introduction, I really want to encourage you to tune in, engage, and share your experiences through the day. I personally think this is an incredibly inspiring time to be involved in delivering end-user computing solutions, and I'm excited to see what we can do together to bring amazing experiences to end users. Thank you again to our sponsors for making today possible. Thank you for joining us and taking time out of your busy schedules to be with us. Have a great day and enjoy the SHI End User Computing Summit. Thank you.